by the way.
Thank you.
Yes.
I see your little face paint.
Yeah, I was just at school. I got myself a little flag. All right, chapter 29, verse 24. So we had they're in the midst of the sacrifices for the ordination. Right, so they have the fat from the animal, the loaf of bread, the cake bread, the oil bread, and the wafer, all from the basket of unleavened bread. And that's where we left off.
Right.
Mom, what are you doing? No, she can't hear me.
I'm sorry, do you want me to read?
No, what are you doing?
Well, I'm trying to figure out why my picture with my hat is there as well as my live picture, and it may be my other computer.
Oh,
So
doesn't matter. I don't mind looking at it.
if you don't mind it, then I'll just leave the
No,
thing
who
up.
cares? Don't worry
Okay.
about it.
Did you want me to read?
No worries. Only if you want to, or Dina can read, or Andrew, or anyone.
Oh no, I don't want to take it from anyone. Who wants
Andrew, you want to read for us?
Sure. Okay, so where am I starting from?
We're chapter 29, verse 24 of Exodus. Place all these. At least that's how mine begins.
Oh, it says a sacral vestments.
Chapter. You are to place them all on the palms of Aaron and on the palms of his sons, and you are to elevate them as an elevation offering in the presence of the Lord.
So according to Rashi here, that the priest puts his hand under that of, wait a second. Both the owner and the priest are involved in the waving of the offering. Aaron and his sons filled the role of the owner and Moses that of the priest. So they apparently, because this was done this sacrifice was done many, many other times. It's not just for the ordination. And so they're sort of modeling it for everyone. So Moses puts his hand under the owner's hand, and then they lift it up and then they wave it around, I guess. And in fact, it's translated as an elevation offering, but Rashi says it would be better to be called a wave offering because he waves it back and forth. Like lulav and etrog, I think. And the waving prevents evil spirits coming from any of the four directions.
Dina, can you give me how you have an H in there? Can you hear me?
I have Eitz Chaim. What do you want?
What I want? I'm not following where they're talking. That's 29.
Verse 24.
We're on page 514, 24.
Oh, 24. No wonder. Okay.
Chapter 29, verse 24.
Okay. Sorry.
That's all I've got for this.
Well, without my other book, I've got nothing.
Make something up.
I'm too tired to make something up.
Actually, and what you're saying that in Fox, his footnote, the earlier translation of, the earlier translation of wave offering has been shown to be incorrect by Milgram, 1983.
Oh, Jacob Milgram. That's interesting. Okay, so Milgram disagrees with Rashi, I guess.
Yeah. You are to take them from their hand, and you are to turn them into smoke on the slaughter site, beside the offering up.
But that's 25.
Yeah. We kept going. We already read 24.
No, but but the comment he read seems to go with 25.
No, he's reading verse 25 now.
Yeah, but the comment was 24 because there's a elevate them as an elevation offering. And then there's and Rashi says that elevation offering should be wave offering,
right?
Because it's side to side, not up and down. And then after drive-by footnote comment, I was going on to 25 at that point.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just doing the footnote. Sorry.
Okay.
You can keep going with 25.
Okay, and for a soothing savor of the presence of the Lord, it is a fire offering.
So, what is this? Where is it? Pleasing odor before the Lord. Right, Rashi's. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Rashi says to give a pleasant feeling to the one who spoke and God's will was done. Ibn Ezra says, this is interesting, a pleasing odor before the Lord, one who understands the secret of the human soul will understand this. Who understands the okay, the soul embedded in a body uses anthropomorphic metaphors that should not be taken literally. So does the biblical text. Oh, that's what he's saying. Okay. So Ibn Ezra's whole comment here is, don't take this literally. God isn't really smelling anything. But, if we go back to, oh, shoot. I don't have it here. All right, let me pull it up. Give me a second. Sepharia, Genesis 9, I think. Here we go. Or is it 6? Maybe it's 6. Yeah, it's 6. Give me a second. So in Genesis, here we go. In Genesis 6, when we've got the we've got the Noah and the Ark thingy dingy. At the end of that, let me find it. Noah came out, everything came out. Noah built an altar to the Lord, and taking of every clean animal and of every clean bird, he offered burnt offerings on the altar. The Lord smelled the pleasing odor, and the Lord said to God's self, never again will I doom the earth because of man, since the devisings of man's mind are evil from his youth, nor will I ever destroy every living being as I have done. Reach nichoach is the Hebrew. They're a pleasing odor. So, and it's in there, it actually says, and God smelled a pleasing odor. So going all the way back to Genesis and to the Noah story, we have this idea that God smelled, that there's something about the smell of sacrifice, that God likes a good barbecue or something. The smell of a good barbecue.
It's interesting. I have no comment at all for that in Hezekiah. There's nothing about that.
Well, do you all see anything meaningful in that, into why the Torah would more than one time talk about God loving the odor of a sacrifice?
Well, the sacrifice was special to God. I mean, the sacrifice is for God, right?
Yeah.
And maybe that's how God made a decision as to why a sacrifice was something he wanted, and the scent of it was important to God.
Right, but why the scent as opposed to, I don't know. Why doesn't God eat it or see it as opposed to smell it? I guess that's what I'm wondering. Smelling just seems like an odd I don't know. I wouldn't, that wouldn't have been my first choice. If I were thinking about how to please God, I don't think I would have thought of make something smell good first. Although in the tabernacle, the whole incense thing was a really big deal also.
Right, I was
But-
going to say, and the Catholic Church does that whole thing with the censers.
Right. Dina, didn't you share a commentary once that the incense was there to offset the smell of the dead animals or something like that?
I don't remember reading that.
I think we saw that somewhere. I don't remember where though.
I mean, this isn't so much anything I know of history or things like that, but I mean, I can see an argument that of senses, I mean, odor is sort of the least directional of them. I mean,
Ooh.
I mean, you see in a certain direction, and your ears are designed to be directional in where they are, but smells are omnipresent.
I love that. That is so beautiful. That the reason why smell is employed here is perhaps symbolic of God's presence everywhere, that God is not located in any one direction. I love that. That's so beautiful.
Which goes along with waving the offering.
Right. So the comment in here about the waving, I read before that, where is it? That it's waved in 4 directions to keep the, here we go, prevents evil spirits coming from any of the 4 directions. Then he waves it up and down to the one to whom heaven and earth belong, which prevents evil doers. So Rashi understands the waving here differently than we understand, like Sukkot waving, right? For us, Sukkot waving isn't about keeping anyone away. Although, if you wanted to keep someone away, a lulav is a better weapon than a loaf of bread, I guess. But it's about sort of symbolizing God all around us. I love that. I've never thought of smell that way. That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Can you not have a sense of smell? Is it?
Yeah.
You can?
You don't have
Yeah.
to. I know people who don't smell things, but not because they weren't given the ability. Something interfered with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that as a young person, I had a more limited sense of smell. I had surgery on my nose in high school, and it was amazing to me because after that surgery, I had to walk to the pharmacy to get medication for my sisters. My mother was, I don't know why she did this, but she had all 3 of us have operations the same week. But as I was walking by the greengrocer, I smelled watermelon for the first time in my life.
Wow.
I had no idea watermelon had an odor, and the smell of watermelon is a pretty strong odor.
I didn't know that watermelon has an odor either.
You've never smelled watermelon?
No,
Oh,
I don't think so.
It's a wonderful sweet smell.
Pointed out to you. Sometimes you don't know. If nobody's ever pointed it out, you don't.
Right. And I had never smelled it before, but walking by the greengrocer, I definitely smelled it that day, and it was after my nose surgery. So I'm assuming that I had diminished
The ability, but yeah, you weren't using it.
I mean, I smelled things, but it must have been diminished.
Well, think of the fact that people who are, whatever one sense they can't see, if they're blind, obviously their sense of feel and their sense of smell is going to be stronger. And I would think that's true of every sense. If you don't have it, others are going to take over.
Right. So there are 4 smell disorders. Hyposmia is a reduced ability to detect odors. Anosmia or anosmia is the complete inability to detect odors. Parosmia is a change in the normal perception of odors, like when the smell of something familiar is distorted. And phantosmia is the sensation of an odor that isn't there. The reason I was asking is because I was just wondering if, there are certainly people without the sense of sight and without the sense of hearing. I was wondering if, is it possible to live without the sense of smell? And apparently it is.
Well, I never saw very well as a child before they discovered I really needed glasses. I was really my sense of smell and my sense of hearing were very strong, and stayed that way. And the doctor said at the time, well, your eyes aren't seeing you. You're groping for a way to find these other things. It comes out that way.
I would imagine of all the senses to be without, the sense of smell, well, I don't know about taste.
Sight, I think, is the hardest.
No, I'm saying that these are the least
Of the least
limiting to life.
limiting.
A sense of taste would not be limiting other than you probably have to remind yourself to eat, because the smell of cooking food isn't going to trigger your appetite.
So it says, so that's one of the things it talks about here, that if your sense of smell is impaired, you might change your eating habits. It also says, though, your sense of smell often serves as a first warning signal, alerting you to the smoke of a fire, spoiled food, or the odor of natural gas leak or dangerous fumes.
Yeah.
So within a family community, some sort of social structure, you can probably get by without a
Right.
smell or taste in a way that you couldn't alone.
I think so.
But hearing and sight would probably still be a detriment. Is a different sort of detriment.
So
the feeling is
God sees in the Bible. We know that it says God sees. We know that God hears. We know that God smells. Does God taste? Does God eat anything?
It doesn't really talk about that.
I'm not sure if God eats anything. God touches. I wonder if God eats. I bet.
Where and when would God eat? Because the
Well,
sacrifices
no, I'm not.
that don't get entirely burnt are eaten by the priests or by the person offering the sacrifice.
So I'm not actually thinking about literally eating. I'm thinking about, in like the book of Psalms, maybe, does it talk about God tasting something?
That's interesting, because I don't remember. There's something wrong with the transmission.
Do you really want to eat that? All right. Well, a quick Google search of "does God eat" does not give us lots of answers. That's okay. All right. Let's cruise on.
Okay, you are to take the breast from the ram of the giving mandate, that is Aaron's, and you are to elevate it as an elevation offering in the presence of the Lord, that it may be an allotment for you.
That translation is really, it may be very accurate, but it's very confusing to me.
Here,
Take the.
I'm sorry. Here, because the installation ceremonies are not quite completed, and because Moses serves in the capacity of a priest, he is entitled to that which routinely would be the priest's portion in the future.
Right. He's serving right now, sort of as Aaron will serve in the future.
Right. So I can never remember about the offering. So an elevation offering is one that is eaten by the priests?
This isn't right, an Olah offering. Hold on a second. Let me look that up because I don't remember either. Well, no. Ola? I don't remember.
Are those offerings at the beginning?
4 seconds. Goes up in smoke. Where is it? The olah was also made as a sin offering on the appointment of the priest. That's what we have here. On the termination of a Nazarite's vow, after removal from recovery from skin diseases, yada, yada, yada. Okay, where does it say what they did with it? Hold on. The flesh of the animal was divided according to detailed instructions by the Talmud and would then be placed on the wood on the altar and slowly burnt. After the flesh had been reduced to ashes, usually the following morning, the ashes were removed by the Kohen as refuse. Was this the offering that was totally burnt? Or no, maybe that's the shlamim. That's something else.
That's a fire offering. Where did I read?
Okay, wait a minute. Ola.
It says here there was nothing left for the Kohanim. Sorry, go ahead, Dina.
Ola turned into smoke on the altar. Mincha. It was usually grain. Shlamim. Shared meals in which the owner of the animal receives the flesh to eat after the blood is dashed and other vital parts are turned to smoke.
So it is the olah. Okay. So the olah is totally burnt. There's nothing left.
The olah is turned to smoke. The entire carcass is turned to smoke. The hatat,
which is also another word for the sin offering.
The carcass is burned outside the temple, which we had with the first ones here. And Asham is also burnt outside. And then the Pesach offering. Those are the 6 offerings.
Right.
6 sacrifices. So this is the shlamim?
No, this is the olah. So this gets totally burnt.
No, but it's the first one, but the second one, no. It didn't get totally burnt. The fat pots and the right thigh and the bread, those are olah. But now we're taking the breast of Aaron's ram, and this is going to be a shlamim. Even though it says an elevation offering, but in the Hebrew, I'm not seeing any of these words. I'm not seeing any of these words in Hebrew to determine which one it is.
Yeah, I think it's still the same one. I don't think this is a separate. I hear what you're saying.
It's not a separate animal, but it's another part of the animal because we're offering a portion to Moses to eat.
So the only hint of what this might be is in verse 28. At the very end, it says, "For they are a gift," meaning the parts that. Let me back up. "And those parts shall be due for all time from the Israelites to Aaron and his descendants, for they are a gift, and so shall they be a gift from the Israelites, their gift to the Lord out of their sacrifices of well-being." So those are the shlamim.
Shlamim, right.
But okay, Rashi says on verse 27, "You shall consecrate them for all future generations, which will have the practice of offering and waving the breast and thigh of the shlamim, the sacrifices of well-being, but will not burn them, as was done here with the ram of ordination." All right, so this is then, this one animal is being used for multiple sacrifices, whereas in the future, it won't be done this way.
These verses 27 to 30, these verses briefly interrupt the theme of installation to explain that the foregoing applies only to the present inaugural. and that different rules will govern the installation of future priests.
Right. One of the problems we have here is the word elevation offering.
Okay, so the first ram was the Ola offering. It's totally turned to smoke.
But I thought you said
No, that was the first ram. This is the
right.
second ram now.
No, but you said you shall take from the ram the fat parts and offer them.
This is the second ram.
What?
Verse 15.
Oh,
Going
right.
The first ram was totally smoked.
Right.
The second ram is the one that we're doing multiple things with.
Okay.
So this one is going to be stuff done, but essentially it's going to be a shlamim sacrifice, right?
So the first part of this second goat sacrifice is not an olah. The olah was the first one that they had.
Right, but the first part of this is it's not hatat because we had that. The first one was hatat.
No, so olah, in this case, the olah offering serves as a chatat for the priests. Wait, I saw it here before. Here, the korban olah was also made as a sin offering on the appointment of a priest.
Okay.
That's according to Rabbeinu Yosef, who lived in the 1800s.
Okay, so the second ram is doing double duty. It's the part of it's going to be an olah offering, and part of it is going to be a shlamim offering.
No, the first ram was the olah offering.
No, I think the first ram was the chatat offering.
But the first ram.
Why. And I'll tell you why. Because I have here for olah, turned into smoke on the altar. But hatat is, in most grave cases, the entire carcass is burnt outside the temple.
That's the sin
In
offering.
most cases, the sacrificial animal is shared with the altar, but the flesh is eaten by priest rather than by sinner. I don't know. I'm so confused because it's Asham, brought to expiate trespasses against sacred things for other things. Its procedure matches that of chatat, although it is often accompanied by a monetary fine.
Why are you uncomfortable saying that the first one is an olah?
Because the first one, the animal was burnt outside the...
But that's because it had to be burnt completely and the offering had to ascend. It was the ascending offering.
Wait. What? No, it wasn't burnt outside. Verse 15 through 18, turn all the ram into smoke upon the altar.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was the bull that was burnt outside.
Right, the bull. Yeah, the bull before that was burnt outside.
I'm sorry. It's too much barbecue going on.
Yeah, there's too much food. Okay. All right, let's keep going.
All right, 27.
Yeah, I sort of already read them, but we can read them again quickly.
Okay. So you are to hallow the breast for the elevation offering in the thigh of the raised contribution that is elevated, that is raised from the ram of the giving mandate, from what is Aaron's and from what is his son's.
This translation of this Fox translation is ridiculous.
Yeah, that he's for this section doing a lot of hyphenated words of this, like take this to mean a word.
Really?
Of elevation dash offering.
Yeah.
raise
Huh.
contribution. Yeah, that he seems to have an idea that there's no precise English word. So let me
Right.
Create one.
hyphenate a word in a actually in a German sort of way.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And this part of the sacrifice is eaten by the people, by Moses and Aaron and the sons. Alrighty. I think we can keep going.
Okay.
It is to be
Where does it say it was eaten?
The commentary.
It is to be Aaron's and his sons, a fixed allocation for the ages on the part of the children of Israel, for it is a contribution, and a contribution is it to be on the part of the children of Israel from the slaughter offering of shalom, their raised contributions for the Lord.
Whoa.
I'm having a hard time with this. Okay, I'm just saying.
You're not the only one.
That's,
When I used to teach kids who couldn't translate Spanish, it sounded like know what they were saying.
yeah, it seems to be getting more into a legalese of
Yeah. Yeah.
perpetuity. 20, so
These sacrifices of well-being. These sacrifices are called shlamim because they are offered not in expiation of sin, but to I think you read this, Dina. But to ensure the continual well-being, shalom. Oh, who read this? Someone already read this. But to ensure the continual well-being, the shalom of those who offer them. Or the name may allude to the fact that they are offered by a soul that is shlema, complete, and not lacking due to sin, whose literal, the Hebrew word for sin is chet, and the literal meaning of the word chet means that there's something missing from the soul. I didn't know that. The literal meaning of the word chet, this is according to Ibn Ezra, the literal meaning of the word chet, sin, is that something is missing from the soul, something is lacking.
So that prayer that we say, Yom Kippur al Chet,
Yeah.
what is all referring to? We're missing something?
Yeah. So then someone who brings this offering is sinless, and therefore they're called shlema. And the offering is called the shlamim.
Rabbi David, when you read this, when you read the Hebrew, I mean, if somebody didn't give you this translation, would you translate that differently? All this stuff.
What, this last verse that we just read?
Yeah, all this stuff.
I would say, and this will be for Aaron and his sons, a law for all generations. So that, wait a second. From Israel, it shall be a gift. It will be a gift from Israel, from the offerings of the shlamim, a gift to God. It's not a pretty verse. There's no nice way to translate it. It's a very convoluted verse. It says the same thing twice, and then it contradicts itself. So it's a very convoluted verse. All right, let's do 20. Let's do at least 29 and 30, so we can stop talking about dead animals.
okay. Now the garments of holiness that are Aaron's are to belong to his sons after him, to anoint them in them and to give them mandate in them. For 7 days is the one of his sons that is that acts as priests in his stead to be clothed in them.
So according to Rashi, as soon as you put on these clothes, you are ordained as the high priest. It's instantaneous.
So these clothes are not the clothes that the high priest wears in performance of his duties. They're simply ordination clothes that are worn for the week of ordination.
Are they ordination clothes based on what the high priest wore, or are they ordination clothes based on what priests like? Are they what the priest? Are they what the priest would wear, or is it something completely different?
No, I think they're what the priests would wear, but this particular outfit is reserved for ordination. Once it's had the blood sprinkled on it and the oil, I mean, you know, they've been spattered on purpose. Because does the high priest do the sacrifices or the priests?
I think the high priest does some, but I think the priests do most of it.
So the blood on the garments that Aaron wore is the special ordination blood. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah.
The 8 garments that are the uniform of the high priest are to be handed down from father to son and worn for each successor's installation ceremony, which is also to last for 7 days.
Sforno, the little added note, and to be consecrated in them, only Aaron had to be invested into the office of high priesthood through the medium of these sacrifices and the placing of the blood on his earlobe, thumb, and large toe. Henceforth, the successors to this position would be consecrated by putting on 8 garments. Just by putting on the 8 garments, they'd be sanctified, consecrated.
Okay, so is it these particular 8 garments that are passed from father to son?
It seems like it.
That's what Sforno says.
Here, this refers to anointing the descendants of Aaron who become high priest by clothing them in the anointed vestments, thus ordaining them to offer sacrifice.
Okay, so that sounds like this one particular outfit that gets handed down from father to son to represent the high priesthood.
Yeah, it does sound that way.
So is it that you are now worthy you can have these garments, or because you're wearing these garments, you're now...
Do they make you worthy?
Does it now
well,
make
it's
you a
like
priest?
it's like crowning the king.
Yeah.
You know, the king is technically the king if they're next in succession when the current king dies, but there's still an ordination ceremony when the crown is placed on his head.
True. I just read a big article about Elizabeth II, her funeral, and when exactly Charles becomes king after that, and all the little steps.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about that is that when in those cases, when it's the crown does not make the queen or the king, right?
Right. It's the symbol of authority.
It's like a circumcision in many ways. Right? A circumcision is simply symbolic of the covenant. And yet it has become so important that we think of it as the covenant very often. And so the same is true with the crown, right? The crown is just symbolic of the power that a person has. But we think of it as the source of power very often.
But also in there, you know, in those sorts of cases, a big ceremony, a big event makes a sharp distinction between, in Charles's case, the things that Charles demands happens before he's crowned king, and after wind up having a different weight. And when you have a big sort of event at a certain point, it sort of delineates oh, well, he said that before, so it doesn't matter.
Right. Well, look, we talk about this now with the president. You know, things he said before he was inaugurated, as opposed to what he says after he was inaugurated. And you hear the pundits on TV say all the time, well, he may have said stupid stuff when he was a candidate, but now it actually matters. Mm-hmm. When he says, I mean, we can agree with him or disagree with him, but it's the same idea. That inauguration is our coronation.
Or I was thinking, you know, and I think that sometimes in a courtroom, I mean, everybody stand, the judge comes in, everybody sits down, and, you know, what happens after that, everybody sits down, has a different weight. You know, that if a lie is a different lie than if it was a lie, you know, before you did the stand up, sit down, read it off.
Right.
That you can get hauled to jail for the lie that happens after you stand up and sit down. Where you can't get hauled off to jail for the lie you did before. And having it as makes it harder for someone to like, oh no, that was before court was in session. And you know, that was after. If you didn't have that happens, it makes it easier for people to get confused of what happened when.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's a little bit like off the record and on the record, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, when people want to say things off the record, they have plausible deniability, I guess.
Oh, that's a good legal phrase.
Thank you.
Plausible deniability. Woo!
I'm not sure what it means, but it sounded good at the end of that sentence. All right, everybody. So we're stopping at 31, I think.
You're right.
Yeah. Oh my God, there's more flesh. Jesus.
Jesus.
Wasn't here yet.
I know. Sorry, he has nothing to do with this.
Wrong room.
Oh my gosh, this is just. We might need to read a little quicker because this is just painful. Some of this stuff.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Hard to sit through this.
Yeah, it really
Barbecue
is.
season.
What'd you say?
I said it's barbecue season.
It is barbecue season. All right, everybody, have a lovely afternoon.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Next
everyone.
week.